Should you let your kids play with toy guns? Talk us through it, Shona.
Oh, me? This was an interesting article. We read a couple of articles about whether children should have guns or not. And I'm a bit torn between it because, you know, as you know, I've brought up a few boys. And they'll find anything to be a gun when they're about 4. I remember walking outside at one stage and there was a clothes peg being shot around like a gun.
Oh my goodness.
But you know, as a Christian, I struggle with it, letting my kids play with guns. And I did actually ask the boys yesterday, how did they feel about me saying, no, they couldn't have guns? And they said when they were little, they felt like I was being mean. But now that they're older, they understand why I said it.
You would say don't play with guns, or you tell them to stop making any object into a gun?
I would. Initially, it was don't play with guns. But as they got a bit older, I could explain to them why.
But is it an issue of playing with guns, or is it an issue of violent playing, like wrestling and stuff like that? Because okay, a gun is quite an obvious, you know, you shoot someone and you kill someone, but even wrestling and fighting, that's violent as well. Do we tell them to stop doing that as well?
I feel like boys need to have that bit of roughhousing and that bit of rough play and, you know, that kind of fun.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. And Jacinta Tynan, in the Daily Telegraph, the article that we read, she was expressing her confusion over this because she was worried that maybe if she was banning guns, that it was interrupting her, like her boy's development naturally.
I struggle with that concept.
But natural development, as though like guns grow out of the ground.
Well,
like,
yeah.
you know, I guess an ability to express themselves, develop confidence, develop like resilience.
There's
that
other
sort
ways
of
of
thing.
doing that than handing them a plastic gun, yeah. My boys don't have any problems with that, and they didn't have plastic guns. But, you know, there was another part that she said, well, anything can become a weapon, and that's true. Cars and, you know...
Water pistols.
Water pistols and... you know, knives and stakes and all sorts of things. I think we need to build resilient children, but we also need to have those conversations about what our violence and the object is not the killer, it's what's inside of you.
Exactly. Well, that's also another issue because video games as well. And like toy guns, that's like the least of your worries when you have video games that are high definition, violence, blood going everywhere. You know, it's very...
I did some research about this, you know, this violence, playing and stuff, and a lot of the experts actually say it's really not what they play with. Yes, there is some influence for sure, but you need to watch the kid as well.
Yes.
What's the intent?
Yes.
Whether they are highly obsessed with violent stuff.
Yeah, what's in their heart?
Yeah.
But where does that come from? Because it was interesting. They said that even kids, no matter what kind of background or no matter what they were exposed to, that they were saying boys were making guns out of things. But where do you get exposed to the idea of a gun?
Well, exactly.
Other kids.
From other kids.
It was when my kids went to preschool. That's when they got the whole gun
Don't say that to me,
fascination.
Shona. Don't say that.
Yeah. So, in summary, ladies, Shona, do you have any advice for Rachel and Melody? Because they've got young boys at the moment, and I'm sure you're going to be facing this issue fairly soon.
Oh, look, I think it comes back, go with your child. If your child is a you know, has that tendency to be a bit violent and rough, have that conversation.
Yeah, well, what do you think? Are guns a natural part of your child's development, or do they do more harm than good? Let us know on Facebook. It could be, I guess, that maybe our kids just aren't active enough these days and have a lot of pent-up energy.